Okay, so let's get started. So what's up, guys? So we going to do something today. So with this one, actually, this will be uh, is this data set that I was working on hotel booking analysis, and I decided, let me do something about it. So I've developed an MLOps model that can be used to offer discounts for your loyal customers. So essentially, I won't get much into that, but I just want maybe see how we can actually develop the end-to-end model for that. So starting with the data ingestion up to deployment. So there is so there is this you can just say an article from Google about MLOps. So this is about continuous delivery and automation pipelines in machine learning. So there's a way that we can actually deploy these models. So that's exactly what we will be covering today. So I don't know which one will be doing to be specific, but I'll try my best to see maybe MLOps level 1, or I think level 2. I think this one is with the CI/CD pipeline automation. I think this one might be the best one for this project. So just want this system to be deployed online and all that. So let's see what we can achieve today. So basically with these pipelines, you can see we have a lot of components. With these components, each is playing a specific role, and so we are going to start developing or coming up with each individual component. Then as time progresses by, we'll see how we can orchestrate all these components into a single, see how they can work together to actually deliver the final model. Okay. So today, to be specific, I just want to tackle more on, I'll be delving more in the maybe setting up the project structure and things to do with that. And also, if I get time, maybe we can also talk about, or we can do something to do the data ingestion. Okay. So essentially, I'm using PyCharm. I've already created the Git repo, and from there did the Git clone until to this point. So you can see I have my Git ignore license, README, and also the I think I have the template file and everything here. So template is just how I've tried to organize my files and folders for this project. For that, configure interpreter anyway, and create this one interpreter. I think we had, don't know why I'm it's not anyway. I think we can sort that later. So at first, let me create the environment. So conda create -p venv python 3.12. Then I think that's it. I'll just create my environment. Okay, so as the environment, as we create our environment, then maybe let me just run the template. So let me run this file, execute this file, so that we're able to create the project templates and everything. So for this one, let's say this Python template.py. Yeah? Templates.py. I think that's it. Then from here we can just create here. Yeah, now you can see we can just create the project files and folders as we wait for the environment to get set up. So as the environment is as we are setting up our environment, I think we already have the project files and folders. Okay, so I think that's it. So we have the experimentation. So here is just where we will be doing experimenting of the individual components before we actually modularize that code into the respective rooms and all that. Then just give me a minute. Then after that, another thing, I think that's the experiment. Yeah. That is the experiment section. Then we have the SRC folder, which is the source folder for our main project. Then statics just for styling CSS, if we'll be using a CSS. Then we have the templates, HTML and all that. Then we have the VENV. This is actually the project environment, I think so. Yeah, no, the virtual environment that we have actually created. Then git ignore for ignoring. There are some files and folders that we'll be ignoring in our project. Then application Docker for containerizing our model. Then main.py, we can consider this to be an what can I say? The main.py. This one can be our let me see. Let me use this one to try and explain. This one can be the trigger. Sounds like a trigger or a central location where we can just orchestrate the entire pipeline for that. So I think this indexing might take some time, but we have to do that. Then what I'll do, I'll make sure to exclude. Just make sure to exclude your the virtual environment from indexing, so that you won't be consuming a lot of resources. So let me exclude that one. Okay, so now that we have our file setup, let me commit this to Git. So add. Yeah, so Git add. Just that's okay. So Git add. Let me see what we are not. Template SRC experiment app Docker. Okay, so we are not committing the virtual environment. So I just wanted to be clear on that. We can just expand this. Let me just be sure that we are not committing. Okay, modify git ignore Docker file app experiment SRC. Yeah, so we are not committing the virtual environment. So then after that, git commit. This one is git status. So git status. So let's do the git commit. -m. Then we can just say project files and folders. Then so it's supposed to be git. Sorry. Git, and that's the git commit. But okay, I need to also say this. So git config underscore global. I think I did not set this one. So user. So for this one, I just have to type in my email address. Yeah. So minik works at Gmail. That's the git config global user. No, I'm not supposed to insert the word user. It's supposed to be the email, not user. It's supposed to be just the email address. Supposed to also insert this. So I think this one might work. What am I missing? But anyway, I'll just check on that. Then let's do what is important for today. So we have our experiment. So before we get started, let's work on what I consider to be the constants. So okay, let's see. So let's start config. These are the different configuration files that we'll require. Then let's see. So we have SRC, reservation discounts. So that's the package name. Then we have, so the exception and logger, I can just fix this thing under utils. Let me push them under utils. Yeah, exception and logger, let them to be under utility so that I think that one is okay. Then those are the pipelines. So under utils, we can start with the logger. So let's start with the logger. So I had already prepared the logger. Logger will be used to, when you are executing your code, we'll be inserting some logging information. So just it's also useful when debugging the code, and you're able to see how your code is running. So I think I will let me see. This is the logger. So we'll first set up the logger. So I'll first set up the logger. So this is the code for that logger. So you can just okay. I've been using this for quite some time. So definitely I'll just copy this and paste. I've been using this in my previous projects. So I won't be creating this once again. Okay, unless if you want to create it for yourself, then you can make amendments on this. But as for me, I'll just be using this until maybe I encounter something else that it might require me to change the technique that I'm using for the logger. I also have a test. So if you want to run this, you can also run. We can run the logger. And let's see if we'll get something on that. So you can see basically we have the debug message, the info message, the warning, errors, as also the critical. So these are the type of different messages that we'll be embedding within our code, so that whenever we encounter an error, then we're able to note if it's a debugging error, if it's an info error, if it's a warning, if it's an error, or if it's something critical system error. So this one, again, I stress they're very important when you are working with a project. They can tell you the type of problem that you are encountering. Okay. Also, there's the exception. Also, the exception is quite important. With the exception, essentially, you want to raise errors, or you want to ensure that the errors that you'll be encountering during your code, because when you're coding, you might forget something here and there, and you will be required to debug your code. So we'll be encapsulating chunks of code within a try except block, so that whenever we encounter an error, we're able to raise that. Again, understand where that error is coming from, then it will be easier for us to debug our code. So this is our exception. Again, this is a reusable code. I've been using this for quite some time, so I don't need to be crafting it again when I'm working in a new project. I just have to lift that from my previous projects. Then from there, I can just reuse it here. But in case if you want to make some changes, you can just take it, update it, or refactor it according to the use case. Okay. Then I'll try again. I'll also try to make sure that it's running okay. We have the main block here. So this is the entry of this exception block. So we are going to run this to see if you're going to get an error. So actually I have a function here. So this is just an error simulation. 1 divided by 0 definitely is going to print an error. So let's see if our exception will work. Again, Python, then I just copy the path. So content root, I think so. I'll just paste it here. Then, yeah, so you'll see this happening. We have the line number 103. So you can see this is the line number 103. Then the message that we're getting, this is a division by 0. So you cannot divide a number by 0. Definitely it's going to generate an error. So this is what I wanted you to actually see when we are implementing our exception. So you can see you're getting the error message. So what really is happening? What is the problem with that piece of code? Essentially what is happening? Then we get the line number because it's very important. Let's say you're writing code with thousands lines, 1,000 lines. So to actually pinpoint the exact location where that error is coming from, it might be a problem. So ensuring that you have embedded this within your code, actually that one is good. Then this one is an operation status failed. So essentially, when you're working with a problem, when you're working with this model, when we encounter errors, you'll try to see how the context. So the context within occurrence of that error, something to do with that. Okay, so I think now we have our exception, we have our commons. No, not the commons. We have our logger, we have the exception. Okay. Also commons is another thing. So commons, these are the reusable functions that tend to occur within that will be occurring within our project. Okay. So remember, let me just copy that, then paste it here before we can continue. So we have the utils. So yeah, the commons. So commons, these are the common. This will be the common functions. We call them utility functions. Utility functions that you don't necessarily need to be creating them over and over again when you're working with your project. Okay. It's a version discount. Yeah. So commons, as I said, these are utility functions that tend to be used over and over again. You can, and it's something analogous to the lambda function, but for the lambda function, in most cases, it can be used only once, and then can be discarded for lack of better word. But here, these utility functions tend to be used over and over again. Okay, not once, not twice, maybe several times. So it saves you that time, or the essence of recreating these functions over and over again. So instead of creating these functions maybe in data ingestion, then you need to be creating those functions in let's say data transformation or model training. So instead of doing all that, okay, so just create these functions inside a folder, let's say the commons folder, inside the utility functions, inside the utility directory. Then in case you need to apply that function, you can just call it from wherever that function is located. Okay, then you're able to use that for a specific purpose. So I have several functions, or you can call them methods. So one will be the read YAML. So remember, we do have different configuration files. So let me see. Yeah, we have the different configuration files: data ingestion, data schema, data transformation, data validation. So we have different configuration files. So I've tried to use the different configuration files so that we're able to actually split the configuration files for each and every component in our machine learning in our model. Okay, so for me to achieve that, then for me to actually achieve that, then I think it's better if I just work with the different configuration files. Separation of I'm forgetting the word, separation of something anyway. So we have the read YAML, we have the create directories. So we'll be creating a lot of directories within our project. So we need to check on that. Also, we'll be creating objects. So loading and sharing of these objects. Loading of creation, loading of these objects within our file. So again, we have to check on that. Also, save JSON, load JSON files, save bin, all those things. So get size of a folder, get the run count of a file when you are when you are iterating and all that. So all these functions will be useful. So as we proceed, we'll see how these functions will be used. So I think that's it. So that's the utility functions. So once we are done with that, then another thing that I will be creating under SRC, we have something called constants. I just have this init underscore init.py. So with this one, init.py. So let me just underscore init. So we are in the constants. So these are again, something common that we might encounter during our work will be. So we are using different configuration files. So essentially, these are just paths to the different configuration files that we'll be using in this project. So you can see config schema for the data schema, then data ingestion.yaml, data validation, data transformation. Okay, so I've placed what I did, I placed the configuration files outside my SRC folder because you might be using a different version. Okay, so you don't need to stress more about your whatever is happening within the SRC folder. So I can call this a separation of concerns. So we have these paths to different. Maybe you're saving these config files in different folder. Okay, the only thing that you need to pass under here is just the path to those config files. Again, these are just so we are just essentially, I can say we're just dealing with the things that will be constant all through our project before we start digging deeper. Okay, then also another thing, one thing that I've also not yet done is to do. I think I have a toml file here. So with the toml file, I have to specify my dependencies and all that. So I have to specify under my toml file. So this is my toml file containing all my dependencies. I just change this to reservation discount. Reservation discount. I think I'll work with this one. Yeah, I just want the name to be same with what it's under with the reservation discount, this folder. Okay, to avoid a lot of problems. But anyway, these are some of the these are the dependencies that we'll be using within my project. So yeah, these are the different this will be the different dependencies. Okay, so even I think you can see it seems you're getting some errors. Yes, this is because you have not yet installed all the dependencies. So you have not installed the dependencies, so that's why you're getting those these sort of errors. Okay, so one thing, what am I missing? The constants, I think these ones are okay. The logs, these are just for when you are logging. after we executed the logger, you will see we are saving those logs. Again, no, we need not to be, don't need to commit so the virtual environment. So this will be venv, then logs. Don't need to be committing my logs. So the logs again, I'll just say logs, that's a folder, so logs that I want to be committing that. Anything else? Logs, experiment, I think these ones are okay. So template, comments, experiment, config. Yeah. So up to now, I think things are okay. So we are able to, actually for today, we are able to, let me have a notepad. So what have we achieved there for today? Let's see. So for today, we're able to set up a project template. Then another thing that we did, we set up constants. These are the things that tend to occur within the project itself. Then also another thing that we did, we did create a virtual environment. So the only thing that I will do, so I will do the install the dependencies. So this one might take some time, but so I don't want to execute it at the moment. But for the dependencies, remember we have the toml file, and the toml file contains all the dependencies and how we are going to build them. So what we just do, we just run the pip install -e. So I'll just do this. Then when we meet, I think tomorrow, I will start with the experiment, the experiments section where we start with the data ingestion and all that. So for our case, again, something to consider, we will be using MongoDB. So for my case, I've already stored data in MongoDB as a database. So we have stored, I think I've already stored data in MongoDB. So I think I've already, let me see. Yeah, I think it's possible because I've not been using this one for quite some time. So no, we need to check. Let me see the different clusters that I have. No, I've already have a cluster. So what we need to do, no, not connected. Let me see. I have my database. No. Already have a cluster. Application development. This is the connection string. Yeah, this is what I wanted. So I just wanted to see my collection. So as for my case, I already have the different collections. I already have some collections. So the data that we'll be using, I think is this one. So discounting, I already have this file already uploaded. So discounting hotel discounts. So you can see this is my data already in MongoDB. So in the meantime, just continue. You can work on the project itself. Make sure that you have all the necessary files and folders that will be required. Then I think from tomorrow, we'll start with the process of data ingestion. So we'll see how we are going to get data. So data analysis, I think this one is, let me use, I think this one. So experimentation. So we are, okay, I'm working, I think for this case, I'm working now on the staging. I think it's the staging process. This is where I'm now focusing my effort. So data analysis, we did the data validation, data preparation, model training. So you can consider this, the above to be the experimentation or the development or the testing phase. So for this case, I used Jupyter Notebook for all this process. Okay, so I'll make sure to also share that in the notebook so that you're able to see what I did. So that is the development phase. Now, after that, we are going to the staging phase, the pre-production or the production phase. So we have to start the process of data extraction, data validation, data preparation, model training, evaluation, and validation. Then from here, we create the model registry. I think things like weights and bias now will be very important for us. Then we have the trained model, then model serving, prediction service, and all that. I think we can focus on this. Then we'll try to improve other things so that our project can meet the MLOps level 2. I think when we introduce more of the CI/CD pipeline and all that, I think it will meet those requirements. But okay, we can start from here, then see how we can improve our project. Okay. Then I think that's it. That's it from me today. So it was just about setting up the project and all that. Then I think we can meet tomorrow. We start the process of data ingestion. Okay. So that's it. That's it from me today. See you in the next time. Goodbye.